There's so many people out there struggling with psychological abuse, which is worse than the physical abuse in most cases, because it's hard to show evidence. I mean, in the physical abuse, you can show all the bruises, all the places that are blue in color and whatever, but not psychological abuse. And people under such kind of abuses, I mean, some, not all, end up feeling so degraded and unworthy that they start just being destructive to themselves. And they do this by trying to take substances or go attend bad places with bad influences, or have bad influential friends or buddies, or they just allow others to just abuse them, saying that they are already broken, so they might just as well go on swimming in the brokenness, is what they believe. And this is not good in any way. So welcome back if you're coming back, and welcome if it's your first time. And today's topic is psychological abuse. As you might understand, and it's a very important and sensitive topic. And I will try to explain this in the best way as I can. This type of abuse often goes unnoticed, but its effects can be long-lasting and deeply damaging, Whether it's in a romantic relationship, family dynamic, or workplace, psychological abuse can happen to anyone. And our goal today is to help you recognize the signs, understand its impact, and share ways to cope and heal. Because there's someone out there facing psychological abuse, and they are sitting there confused, and they don't understand what is happening in a way. Actually, they do understand, but they are confused. Psychological abuse is a form of emotional manipulation and control. Unlike physical abuse, which is visible, psychological abuse leaves invisible scars on your mental health, self-esteem, and sense of reality. So what exactly is psychological abuse? At its core, it's about control. It's when someone uses emotional manipulation, intimidation, or other harmful behaviors to dominate and harm another person's mental well-being. Unlike physical abuse, you might not see bruises or scars, but the pain is very real. And I, for one, for example, I experienced that many times in my marriage. There was a lot of emotional manipulation and intimidation. A lot of it. Psychological abuse can take many forms. Let's take a look at some of the common signs to help you recognize it. First, you know what happens. We have gaslighting. This is when someone manipulates you into questioning your own reality. You might be told things like you're overreacting, or that never happened. It's a way of making you doubt yourself, just like that. So, for example, how do you tell if someone is gaslighting you? There might be signs to show that there is gaslighting behavior. For example, there might be blatant lies. The person is lying often and with ease, yet they say they do not recognize this in their behavior. And they are always deny, and deny. You know what they said? They just fumble around with words, beating about the bushes. And they use what you love against you. For example, my ex-husband was using my profession against me, and it ended up being like I ended up hating my profession. It makes you lose your sense of self. When you start losing your sense of self and you feel like you are not yourself, that's gaslighting. Then there is something like the words versus actions don't match each other. Their words don't match their actions. For example, they say I love you and then they end up being mean towards you. That's not love. There is love and flattery. It's flattery, just flattery. It's like a patent feeling, but it's not genuine. And then you start feeling confused about whatever is happening. You ask yourself what just happened, and you don't understand because it might not relate to what you might have been talking to. Then there is projecting things onto you. They project whatever they are feeling. For example, they are angry, they will say you are angry. Or they might even try to make you look crazy. Gaslighting is really something which is very, very dangerous. This undermines your confidence and intelligence. It makes you feel like you have to apologize all the time, making you question your own judgment. So you're scared to make decisions. And that's how bad it can be. And this is a psychological abuse. And then we have constant criticism. In a healthy relationship, feedback can be constructive, but when criticism becomes relentless, demeaning, or personal, like attacking your appearance, intelligence, or worth, it can break down your self-esteem. The abuser normally emotionally abuses the other person and uses this tactic to exert control in the relationship. They put you down so that they can maintain the upper hand. And constant criticism among spouses lowers intimacy. It reduces marital satisfaction for both spouses. It reduces self-esteem and more negative self-image for the criticized spouse. There's poorer cooperation on joint tasks. There's lower marital satisfaction for both spouses. And this could go on and on. The list could go on, really. And then we have isolation. Abusers often try to cut you off from your friends, family, or support system. They might discourage you from spending time with others or make you feel guilty for wanting to be independent. And that's always happened in my marriage. That always happened. For example, there was a time we were celebrating something and I just gone to the neighbor because it was an old person, and I just gone there so that they don't feel lonely. And he made a very big row about it to make me feel guilty about going to that place, and he was screaming all the way from the street. And everyone was starting to crowd and listening for no reason. That was a horrible experience. And another tactic is control and manipulation. This can look like controlling where you go, who you talk to, or even how you think. Over time, this makes you feel like you have no control over your own life. And I had this, for example, the first time when we were boarding a plane, and there was nothing actually, and he made a point as if I was flirting with one of the guardians, and there was nothing like that. The guardian was asking for my passport, and that was all. But he made it as if I was flirting with the person. And that was really wrong. That's a sign of trying to control you so that you don't talk, you don't do anything. Or there was another time I was having a project and I had a client, and he was always interfering with the project, the way it was going, and making it look as if I didn't know what I was talking about. And I became regretful that I even included him in the meeting. And all that was just because he just didn't want me to be independent or feel confident about whatever I was doing. The effects of psychological abuse are deep and lasting, and it can leave you feeling anxious, depressed, and unsure of yourself. Many survivors experience post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and their sense of self-worth may be shattered. And that's how I had felt even before I had divorced. I felt like I didn't know who I was. I felt like I was a walking zombie. I didn't have a mind of my own. I didn't know anything. Everything which I knew before, I felt like I didn't know. Even something simple as just cooking. And I used to be very good at cooking or baking when I was a spinster. And that really shattered my self-worth. Really, it's very hard. One of the hardest parts about psychological abuse is that it can make you feel alone and confused. You may start to believe that you are unworthy of love or support, or even that you're the problem. And you start looking for ways to rectify that problem instead of seeing that you're not the problem. It's the other person who is trying to control you. So how do you recognize these signs in your own life? First, pay attention to how you feel in your relationships. Do you often feel belittled, unsure of yourself, or like you're walking on eggshells? That's how I felt in my marriage. It was always like, hush, 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 don't do this, so that we don't make him angry. Do you second guess your decisions or feel controlled? You should ask yourself these questions. And if you feel you answer yes to any of this, then that's psychological abuse. If any of this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Recognizing the signs is the first step toward healing. And remember, it's not your fault. It's not. It's all about the other person. It has nothing to do with you. It's just that they just want to control you. So what can you do if you recognize that you've been affected by psychological abuse? First and foremost, seek support. Whether it's talking to a trusted friend or family member or reaching out to a therapist, having someone to listen can make a world of difference. Therapy, especially trauma-informed therapy, can help you work through the emotional pain and rebuild your self-esteem. Remember, there are resources available to help. Reach out to hotlines, shelters, or mental health professionals who specialize in supporting those affected by abuse. Setting boundaries is also a crucial step in healing. It's okay to say no. It's okay. And it's important to stand firm in your worth. You deserve respect and kindness, and you have the right to protect your mental health. Remember, healing from psychological abuse takes time. Be patient with yourself. Practice self-care and be gentle with your emotions as you rebuild your sense of self-worth. Lastly, please know that you are not alone. If you are experiencing psychological abuse or if you recognize the signs in someone else's life, please reach out. Healing is possible and support is always available. There are so many resources on the internet. You can just Google psychological abuse support and you can get so many resources to help you out. So thank you for watching this video. I normally don't ask this, but if you found it helpful, please consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear this message. And I know someone out there is sitting all confused and feeling like they don't know what to do. And as always, be kind to yourself. You're worthy of love and respect, and you deserve a safe, healthy life. So take care, and I'll see you in the next video. And God bless.